Gormaigat, Lascan Corla. The question is fairly straightforward. I want to ask the Taoiseach when workers can expect to see some very serious progression towards living wage. If you'll outline the estimated time frame for delivery, and if you'll outline the benchmarking that you're going to be using to calculate it, I think we can all agree we are in the middle of a cost of living crisis. This is going to impact on those workers who are low paid more than those who aren't. They don't have a cushion, they don't have savings, and they're the ones who are most desperately in need of that protection. Gormaigat.
I just want to thank Deputy for raising the question. We want to reward work and ensure that work pays more. Minimum wage workers are among the hardest working people in Ireland and deserve to be paid more, particularly at a time of rising prices. Yesterday, the Government accepted the Low Pay Commission's recommendation to increase the national minimum wage by 80 cents to €11.30 per hour, commencing the 1st of January 2023. At least 164,000 people will be in line for an increase, but the real figure is likely to be much more, given that there will be knock-on increase for those currently earning slightly above the minimum wage. It works out at roughly €30 a week, €120 a month, or €1,600 a year if working full-time. As the Deputy is aware, I want to move from a minimum wage to a living wage so that work pays more. I outlined proposals back in June, after which we started a public consultation seeking submissions from the public on the Low Pay Commission's recommendation and our straw man proposal. That provides an example of how a living wage might be phased in over 4 years. The public consultation closed in August. It received 46 submissions. The work of an interdepartmental working group and public consultation results will form a final government decision on the adoption of a living wage over a specified number of years, and I hope to be able to make an announcement on that this month or next. The new national minimum wage of €11.30 is in line with the living wage straw man proposal. As such, next year can be considered the first year of a 4-year plan to reach a living wage calculated at 60% of the median wage.
The progression towards a living wage is a commitment that's given in your own programme for government, and I acknowledge the advances that have been made by your own department, specifically in relation to the strawman proposal and the public consultation. But with respect to the 80-cent increase in the minimum wage, as recommended by some of, but not all, and you will know that, of the members of the Low Pay Commission, when are workers going to see a very real move towards the living wage? I mean, you've given yourself time to do it, but events have overtaken the announcement that you made back in June, and people are in a very, very serious crisis at the moment. So what they need to see is a step change quickly towards a living wage. And would you also, as in my question, outline the mechanism by which you're going to calculate that living wage when eventually we do get there?
Thanks, Deputy. The recommendation was made by a majority vote on the Low Pay Commission. I think 2 dissented, but 8 or 10 were in favour, so it was a very clear majority in favour of this recommendation. And I do think it is a not insignificant increase anyway that we're seeing next year, and it does bring us closer to the 60% median. Not as close as I would like or you would like, but it does bring us closer to the 60% median, so we are in the right trajectory. €1,600 a year isn't a small amount of money. It's enough perhaps to pay the rent or mortgage for a month. It's enough, depending on how far you travel, to fill the car for several months. It's not an insubstantial amount of money, but also it's not the limit of what we're going to do to help people on low pay or on minimum wages. It's just the start, and there's going to be a lot more, and you'll see that in the budget, particularly in relation to what we'll do to help people with energy bills, also welfare increases, and other actions we'll take as well.
Yeah. And I doubt in your constituency either. And I'm not going to not acknowledge that there's a move, but what I'm saying is it's not adequate, and it goes without saying, I'm sure. I agree with the minority report of the trade union reps. So it wasn't, the majority may have voted in favour of the 80 cent, but the workers' representatives on it didn't. And I think that tells a tale in and of itself. Taoiseach, if you stick with your timetable as you've outlined, the commitment given in your programme for government won't be realised, because you've pushed it out to the end beyond the end of the term of this government. If you're going to put something into the programme, then there should be a realistic time frame for introducing that, and you've pushed it out beyond the term of government. So, I mean, how can people take seriously what the commitments that are given in the programme for government if those that affect low-income workers and the people who need that the most are going to be pushed beyond the end of the lifetime of the government?
Yeah, no, I take the point you're making, but you know, one thing I have to bear in mind is other impacts. You know, the cost on small business, for example, and you'll know that all of the employer reps favoured the 80-cent increase. That's not to say that all employer organisations do by any means. Many have been very critical of the increase yesterday, and all of the independent and academic members favoured the increase as well, as did one of the workers' reps. And one thing I always have to bear in mind is I don't want to increase the minimum wage to the point where businesses can't survive anymore and they're forced to lay off staff or they're forced to cut hours. I don't think that will happen with an 80-cent increase, by the way. I think we will see a further increase in employment next year, but it is one thing you have to bear in mind, and that's why the recommendation is for a 4-year introduction period. It can be quicker, and I'm certainly not ruling that out, but that will depend on economic circumstances. And I don't think anybody would say that you know, wages should just go up or down, irregardless of what may be happening in the wider economy or the wider world. So we do need a bit of flexibility in that regard.